I think we share that, and I wanna work on that. Because don't get me wrong, I want to be the best friend I can be to
Hmm.
on my friend groups, but um, I don't. This year for me is going to be a very big year of just um maybe puffing my chest out a little bit more in all types of ways, even in
I
some
see that little
friendships.
shake you
Like
trying to.
The challenge now for me too is like I do worry about like what if I say something that's just going to piss people off.
You are.
I am right. I just have to accept that.
You have to accept that. You're going to say things that piss people off. People don't run from shows because of strong takes or even offensive takes or even takes that like they disagree with
Yeah.
on any level. It's when people don't have.
Imani is officially spreading his wings, and listen to this. He's ready to see how high he can really go. He's at that moment where you don't just stand on the edge, you jump off the roof and find out if you can fly. He said it out loud himself. It's a wrap. He's done babying relationships. He's done doing favors for people while getting absolutely nothing back. He's done just being the cool one. Now he's testing and pushing the limits of every relationship to see which ones actually serve him. And hold up, we already saw this energy shift when he started firing back at Ish. He made it clear like, nah, this is how real debates work over here. You don't get to hog the floor, say everything you want, then cut the other person off when it's their turn. Nah, that's not how this goes. You cut me off, I cut you right back, period. And then when Ice started coming at him, he shut that down quickly, like, don't bring my family into this. Bro, what are you even talking about right now? How do you bring up a topic and then get mad and frustrated when we keep talking about the same topic? That right there was Imani. So yeah, he's already stepping into that lane. And we all know exactly where this mindset comes from. If the clip wasn't so wild, I'd pull it up myself. But I remember sitting in my car talking to Imani, telling him straight up that he had the most charisma out of all the co-hosts to branch off and do his own thing. Fast forward, I'm scrolling through Patreon. I see Imani's numbers. I see Mark Lamont Hill's numbers. I see Queen's Flip's numbers. Girl, I even started lining his numbers up next to other major YouTube creators with Patreons. And listen, he did that. Now, I'm not saying he could just walk away from the JBP and blow Joe and everybody up overnight. No, no. But what he does have now is leverage and the realization that long term, he can really stand on his own. Shout out to Sio. She's already opening up and talking about her family since it was her birthday celebration, including how Imani and her mom were mingling at the party. They weren't even talking about her looks like that, but listen to this. It was more about her ethnicity, her upbringing, how she was raised, and how all of that shapes how she treats people today. So here I am actually learning about Psy and realizing I genuinely care. It was a 2-hour podcast, and I listened to every single minute of it. I'm sitting there like, dog, when did this happen? I've always rocked with him, Manny. Well, or Rory. When the hell do I even say Manny? But not once did I ever think in my head that I'd be following his movement like this. I supported him at first. He wasn't consistent enough for me, so I canceled my subscription. Then I caught myself resubscribing because his podcast episode was behind the paywall and not on YouTube yet, and I didn't want to wait. I said, hold up, when the hell did this happen? So Imani and Joe, they're meshing, they're vibing well. They're talking about women, not necessarily hookers, but women of the night, escort services. They're laying out what they plan to keep doing on the pod, and I found myself getting more and more invested. I was like, damn, this feels familiar. This reminds me of when I didn't really know who Rory was, or even Maul like that. I just knew enough about Joe Budden. I watched 2 or 3 episodes and said, all right, I guess I'll keep watching. That's the same energy I'm getting here. And another show giving me those same vibes is Mark and his wife doing this together. I never thought I'd catch myself watching a married couple talk about married stuff, married life, raising a young child later in life, being in a relationship where both partners have PhDs. I never in my life thought I'd tune into a podcast like that, but here we are. Now, let me get my one negative critique out of the way for both shows. Mark, you gotta fix that audio. You really gotta fix that audio. And that's coming from someone who still needs to tighten up his own audio. But if you've been here since the very beginning, you know I was recording off my iPhone mic. Then I upgraded to a lapel mic, then a lavalier. And now I'm on a Samsung mic. Slow upgrades, step by step. But that's absolutely something you need to work on. I thought my volume was broken because I had it turned all the way up. I wanted to hear what y'all were saying so bad, I took it off my car speakers and listened straight from my phone. That's when I realized it actually sounded clearer on the phone, so I just listened that way. But they're covering everything Mark already talked about on the JBP. At first, I'm like, oh, he already spoke on this. I don't need to hear it again. But hearing him talk about it with Dr. Melissa instead of everyone else changed everything. Because over there, not everybody actually wants to contribute. And a quick side note, Mark got irritated when they were clowning with his handwriting on the board. He said something slick, and I know they caught it. Basically like, y'all are welcome to not only write topics on the board, but actually contribute topics, period. Anyway, so I'm hearing him revisit topics he already covered, but this time his wife actually cared. And when they got to the pastor and his wife wearing that nude dress, I don't know the exact term, but you know, the nude fabric that's not fully sheer, that's when I said, uh-oh. Now they're trying to keep it coy because it's still early, and this is really Melissa's first real step into media. You can tell. She's clearly well-versed, but she's nervous. She doesn't know how she'll be received or how people are going to come at her. So she's making faces, she's responding in code. She's basically telling Mark, yeah, I'd wear a dress like that too. And since Mark isn't just going to flat out say he doesn't want her wearing it, watching that back and forth was hilarious. Seeing them dance around it while still trying to stay engaging was comedy. That exchange was gold. And I say all that to say this. I'm really looking forward to watching their dynamic continue to grow, because one thing nobody tells you, actually, let me rephrase that. I think Mark is going to use this platform to finally get real, honest answers out of his wife. Call me crazy, he calls me crazy, but I honestly think he's about to learn a whole lot about his wife that he didn't know before, just from these conversations alone. Because once people really start opening up, listen to this, it's a wrap. And I'm tapped in early because I've been saying this. I complain about the Joe Budden podcast because it's literally the only podcast I consistently listen to. Once I start widening my scope, it'll be way easier to stop quote-unquote hate-watching, hate-critiquing, or nitpicking every little thing about the JBP. Why? Because I'll have other references. I'll have other shows to compare it to, and I'll have something else to turn on when the content isn't hitting the way it should. So shout out to Imani. Shout out to Mark Lamont Hill. As I said in the title, we cover the co-hosts both on and off the pod. I didn't even realize I'd end up covering their individual podcasts like this. Ice, we're still waiting on you, my guy. Where's that Patreon at? At least I'm waiting. I can't speak for everybody else. But for those of y'all who are subscribed, let me know. What did y'all think? Do you think they're actually on the right path to success? Do you think they're going to stick with the current format? Do you think the chemistry we're seeing on both pods is a good thing? Or am I just the one keeping y'all in the loop because you haven't subscribed yet? Either way it goes, drop it in the comments. I appreciate all the support. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the page if you haven't already. And if you have, you already know how we're rocking. You already know what type of time we're on over here. We're just going to keep this thing pushing. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.